viewers, in my previous lecture, I had discussed with you the concept of enantiomerism, that is stereoisomerism, taking the example of glyceraldehyde. So we know that a molecule will be optically active if the molecule is chiral. Second, I had discussed with you the small d and the small l, or plus and minus, which indicates that the given molecule is dextrorotatory or levorotatory. And I had said that when we are talking of the molecule which is optically active, we have to give stress on the configuration of the structure. Why so? Because it is the configuration which plays an important role in drug action, enzyme substrate interaction, and antibody antigen interactions, and many more metabolic processes which are taking place in an animal's body, may it be human or other animals. So for that we have to study the configuration of the molecule. So when we specify a configuration, we can do it by three ways. That is, we can talk of a relative configuration, in which we take a certain compound which is taken as an arbitrary standard, and then other molecules are assigned configuration in reference to that particular compound. Or we can assign configurations to each chiral center on the basis of Kahn-Ingold-Prelog rules, which is known as the absolute configuration. In absolute configuration, no reference compound is taken. And then we also have the trio and the erythro system of giving configuration to molecules. But for monosaccharides, today we shall be concentrating on relative configuration, and I'll just in passing tell you about the erythro and the trio configurations, because I have done R and S configuration in great details in my lectures series on stereochemistry. So when I said DL configuration, what we mean by DL configuration is the relative configuration. And this relative configuration indicates the arrangement of atoms or groups in space of a stereoisomer of a compound relative to atoms of groups of another compound, which is chosen as an arbitrary standard. Until 1955, there was no concept of absolute configuration. It was only in 1891 that Emil Fischer gave D and L symbols to assign relative configuration of sugars based on the position of OH in glyceraldehyde. That means for assigning configuration to monosaccharides, glyceraldehyde was taken as an arbitrary standard. Now you can ask a question as to why glyceraldehyde was taken as an arbitrary standard. Because glyceraldehyde is the simplest monosaccharide, which is an aldose sugar, which is optically active. And from it, we can synthesize all other monosaccharides, or other monosaccharides can be degraded, say by rough degradation, and we will get glyceraldehyde. So the basic structure of glyceraldehyde is retained in all monosaccharides. So I'll just explain what do we mean by this. But first let us see that it was assumed by Fischer that the D enantiomer of glyceraldehyde having OH group on the right hand side was assigned D configuration, and the L enantiomer of glyceraldehyde having the OH group on the left hand side was assigned L configuration. See, what I mean here is, now if you look at this molecule of glyceraldehyde, what we find that this is the simplest aldose. So when we are talking of a polyhydroxy aldehyde or a ketone, so for having more than one hydroxyl groups, at least we need 3 carbons. So the simplest triose is glyceraldehyde. Simplest aldose is a triose, which is glyceraldehyde. And what we find that in glyceraldehyde, Fischer found that this molecule was dextrorotatory. And similarly, he found that this molecule of glyceraldehyde, which had OH on the left hand side, was levorotatory. And now what he did was he correlated. He said that since this molecule is dextrorotatory and it has OH on the right hand side, he assigned it configuration D. And he assigned configuration L to this molecule since it was levorotatory and OH was on the right hand side. So what you have to remember when we are talking of L, L means OH is on the right hand side on the chiral carbon in glyceraldehyde, and in D form OH is on the right hand side. And just now I said that this molecule was taken as an arbitrary standard. One reason was this, and second reason was that when he did a detailed study of this glyceraldehyde, he found that when he was playing, we have a C double bond O here. That means if he reacted this molecule with HCN, we can convert it into a cyanohydrin, and from there we can go up the series. Similarly, if this molecule, we are just having 3 carbons here, but supposing we were having 4 carbons, then this aldehyde group could be oxidized and we could bring about Ruff's degradation, and again we will come back to this structure. So that means this is the basic unit, this unit, and similarly this is the basic unit which is present in other molecules. That means if we are talking of a glucose which is having D configuration, it has been derived from this molecule by increasing the carbon chain here. And if we are talking of L molecule, a molecule which is having L configuration, that is capital L, that means we are talking of the L series. That is the basic structure in that molecule would be this at the bottom. So that is why also, that is also one reason as to why glyceraldehyde was taken as an arbitrary standard. And now we know that, please remember, D and L notations are used to indicate the relative configuration of monosaccharide with reference to glyceraldehyde. So if a given compound will have OH on the right hand side on the highest numbered asymmetric carbon, we will say that is having configuration capital D. And if the OH is on the left hand side on the highest numbered asymmetric carbon, when we are comparing it to L-glyceraldehyde, we will say that that molecule is having configuration capital L. So that is why this glyceraldehyde was chosen as an arbitrary standard. And with reference to this D-glyceraldehyde and L-glyceraldehyde, all other molecules are assigned configuration. So when I talk of molecules, what am I referring here to? The enantiomer of chiral monosaccharides, right? So now how do we determine whether the given enantiomer of a monosaccharide is having D or L configuration? So our first objective is going to be, we will draw the given structure in Fischer's projection. So how do we draw a Fischer's projection? Please remember, in Fischer's projection, the longest carbon chain is taken as the vertical chain with the highest oxidized end at the top. So here, if we are talking of this molecule, which is having how many carbons? 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. That is, we are talking of a pentose sugar here. Then what you have to remember, that we will take the longest carbon chain as the vertical chain. We've taken this as the vertical chain with the highest oxidized end at the top. And now in this case, what you have to remember, that these are the bonds, that vertical lines represent the bonds which are going away from the observer, and these horizontal lines indicate the bonds which are coming towards the observer. And in Fisher's projection, chiral carbons are not shown. It is taken that this carbon, this point of intersection here is a chiral carbon. Similarly, this point of intersection is the second chiral carbon, and this point of intersection represents the third chiral carbon. So this is representing the bonds which are going away from the observer. This is representing the bonds which are coming towards the observer, and we have to write the molecule in such a way so that the highest oxidized end is at the top. So we know in aldoses the functional group is CHO, and CHO always occupies the first position. So that means we will place CHO at the top of the molecule. So this is the Fisher's projection for an aldopentose. And now if we have a ketonic group, then we have to write the molecule in such a manner so that the ketonic group is at the second position from the top. So this is your first carbon, second carbon, third carbon, fourth carbon, fifth carbon, and sixth carbon. So when we are writing or representing this molecule in Fisher's form, this has to be, the ketonic group has to be at the second position. Now here what we've done, I've compared the structure of an aldose and a ketose. In ketose, which I have taken an example of a fructose here, which you can see on your screens, the carbonyl group, the ketonic group, is at the second position, and in the pentose sugar, the aldehyde group is at the top. So after doing this, we have to now assign configuration to these molecules. So I told you in the beginning that when we are, why do we prepare? Why do we compare this molecule with this? And then you will ask me that if I am looking here at the structure of D-galactose, then why can't we take this OH? Or either of these OHs, 1, 2 and 3? Why are we considering only the position of the OH which is at the fourth chiral carbon here, or which is present at the highest chiral carbon? See, I told you that if we start with glyceraldehyde and say we consider that all these monosaccharides can be prepared from glyceraldehyde, so where are we playing with the molecule, or where are we bringing about the reaction? We are bringing it at this end. So that means this end is staying, it is the integral part of all the monosaccharides. So when we compare the configuration, which is relative configuration, and in this case we are taking glyceraldehyde as an arbitrary standard. So what you have to see, whether the OH on the highest numbered asymmetric center is on the right hand side or it is on the left hand side. If it is on the right hand side of the horizontal line, this molecule will be given configuration D. And when we compare the structure of D-galactose with D-glyceraldehyde, what we find that the OH is on the right hand side on the horizontal line at the highest numbered asymmetric carbon. So this molecule is given configuration capital D. Whereas if we compare another structure, that is of galactose, another enantiomer, what we find that in this case the OH group on the highest numbered asymmetric carbon is on the left hand side on the horizontal line. Since it is on the left hand side, and I told you that simple way to remember L, that is it is having L configuration, is it is on the OH OH is on the left hand side. So this molecule is having configuration capital L. So we can say the highest numbered chiral carbon, or we can also say the chiral carbon which is furthest away from the aldehyde group, right? So that means all L sugars will have OH on the horizontal line at the highest numbered asymmetric center at the left hand side, and we will say that all these monosaccharides belong to L series, whereas in D series the molecule will have OH on the right hand side of the horizontal line at the highest chiral carbon, and all the sugars which will have OH on the right hand side on the highest numbered asymmetric center will belong to the D series. And we know that almost all the sugars found in natures are D sugars. And now if you look into the structure of glucose here, you will see that these two structures are mirror images of each other. That is, the L structure is the mirror image of D structure. Now you will say it is very difficult to memorize. How will we memorize? It is not at all difficult. What you have to remember is when you are making a structure of glucose, you take the longest carbon chain as the vertical chain with the highest oxidized end at the top. So we place that group here, and then we have a methyl hydroxy group. We place it at the bottom, and we know that this glucose molecule has 6 carbons in it. So that means 1 carbon we've used here, 2nd carbon we've used here. That means these carbons, the 4 carbons, will be now what? They will have secondary hydroxyl groups. So what you have to remember is that these secondary hydroxyl groups will be alternating, right, left, and then right, right, left, right. So what you have to remember is right, left, right for D-glucose. And of course, since we are having configuration capital D, the OH will be on the right hand side. And similarly, when we are writing the structure for L, this OH will come on the left hand side on the on the highest numbered asymmetric carbon. And since it is the mirror image, we will reverse the structures here. So this will again be alternating left, right, left. So this is how you can draw the structures of the glucose. That is, if you know the structure of one molecule, you can draw the structure of second molecule just by reversing the configuration at each chiral carbon. So now what we are going to do, now when we write the common name of the monosaccharide together with the D or the L designations, it will completely define its structure. Why so? Because the relative configuration of all the asymmetric carbons are implicit. What do I mean said by implicit? That is, they are implied here, that they consist, they're understood that this molecule will have the configuration capital D, and the structure of the molecule or the configuration at the other chiral carbon atoms which are within the molecule are fixed, they are implied. So we will just write down, if I have to write the name of glucose, I will just write it as D-D-glucose. Now what does this D-D-glucose indicate here? It indicates, this D indicates the relative configuration. This D indicates that this molecule is dextrorotatory and this is a molecule of glucose. Whereas here L indicates that it has L configuration, that is OH is on the left hand side at the highest numbered asymmetric carbon, and this molecule is levorotatory. Now, as I've already said, that we can easily change, or we can just remember the configuration of D molecule, that is O, right, left, right, they're alternating. And then when we are drawing the left structure for L configuration, that is, which is having capital L configuration, we will simply change the configuration at each chiral carbon. That is, here the OH is on the right hand side. in the L form the OH will be on the left hand side. Here again the OH is on the left hand side. In this case the OH will be on the right hand side. Here OH is on the right hand side, OH will be on the left hand side, and this highest numbered OH, since we are talking of the L configuration, will be on the left hand side. So we prefer to name monosaccharides by their common names, because this will include, this is understood, we'll understand the structure of glucose. See, if I say I write the IUPAC name of the compound, it becomes so cumbersome. We will write 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pentahydroxy, right? Pentahydroxy hexanal. It will become so cumbersome, and then at each carbon we will be assigning absolute configuration, we will be giving them R configuration or S configuration. So when we write D-glucose, it clearly implies that this is the particular configuration at each chiral carbon, and the molecule is having D structure. So that means symbol D and L will indicate the configuration of an asymmetric molecule, and this does not tell us whether the molecule is dextrorotatory or levorotatory. So please do not confuse between capital D and small d and capital L and small l, because capital D or R, capital D refers to relative configuration, capital R refers to absolute configuration, small d refers to dextrorotatory. Capital L refers to relative configuration, capital S refers to absolute configuration, and small l refers to the compound that the molecule is levorotatory. So now imagine you've given this perspective formula and you've been asked to convert this into, give its configuration capital D or capital L. How will we do this? The first alternative is that we can simply give it, we have to assign it configuration capital D and capital L. That is, we convert it into Fisher's projection, and this also I have discussed in great details in my previous lectures. So when we have to convert it into Fisher's projection, what we will do, we will take, please remember, this CH2OH will be taken on in the wedge. We will write it here in the angle here, right? We will write it here. Now when we do so, that is, we will convert it into Fisher's projection, and then we can assign its configuration capital D or capital R. And if we have to assign it configuration R or S, we can simply do it in this form. That is, we'll give it, O is having highest priority, 1, 2, 3, and our I is traveling in which direction? In clockwise direction, from group having highest priority to lowest priority, and group having lowest priority is away from us. Therefore, this molecule will be given configuration R. That is, we will not flip the molecule. If this was supposing on a solid wedge, we would have flipped the configuration and we would have said it is having configuration S. This I have just told you in brief. This I have already discussed in great details in my previous lectures. The last point that I would like to take up here, that it is not necessary that if a molecule is having configuration capital D, it will always be dextrorotatory. A molecule can have configuration capital D. For example, fructose has configuration capital D, because in this case the OH is on the right hand side at the highest numbered asymmetric carbon, but it is levorotatory, right? So it is not necessary that if the molecule is having configuration D, it will always be dextrorotatory. And the next point that you have to keep in mind, that the small d and small l, which are written in brackets, they are signs which indicate the direction of rotation of plane polarized light, and capital D and capital L refer to the configurational relationships when we are relating a configuration of a particular monosaccharide with glyceraldehyde taken as an arbitrary standard. Now, in my next lecture, we shall be discussing diastereomers, enantiomers, epimers and anomers in great detail. For this lecture, I had followed the books by Ellil, Carey Francis, McMurray, Wade, Chauhan and Chauhan, and Volat. You can also refer to these books. Thank you.